Florida Congressman Carlos Gimenez is with us, member of the Armed Services Committee, Homeland Security Committees in beautiful Miami, Florida, before the convention in Milwaukee. Congressman, good to see you. Is there any Republicans who are saying, boy, if only we could move the convention a couple of weeks and let Biden and the focus on Biden's problems continue?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of us feel that way, but that's the way the calendar goes. We're happy to roll, and we've got our nominee. Let's find out who our vice presidential candidate's going to be, and let's go. And and the Democrats' problems aren't going to go away because we're having a convention.
Well, fair enough. And we're all talking about how the networks that have spent millions of dollars to build out their studios inside the arena in Milwaukee are going to be sitting there talking about whatever's happening back in Washington. You mentioned the vice president, which I think is where we will head. Every vice president brings something, right? You think Barack Obama, he needed Joe Biden for national security. That's what he brought. Paul Ryan to Mitt Romney was about a youthful look at things. Then you think about Mike Pence, brought the evangelical vote and traditional conservatives to Donald Trump. Kamala Harris, obvious pick and why for Joe Biden. What does Donald Trump need his vice president to do this time around?
I think he needs to make sure that the vice president is somebody that can not only be president of the United States if something happens to him, but also could be president of the United States for 8 years after him. Because in order to change the direction of this country, we're going to need a lot of time. It's not just 4 years. And Donald Trump can be the facilitator of the change in direction, but it's going to have to be carried out by somebody else. And look, if you're the vice presidential candidate, if Donald Trump wins, and we expect him to win in November, then the vice president is going to be the presumptive nominee in 4 years. And so that's one of the things that I feel that the president really needs to take in consideration. Not just his vice president, but who could be the next president of the United States to succeed him and follow up on the policies and the changes that need to be made to America.
You think about the groups, various groups, millennials in the Rust Belt, who somebody like J.D. Vance appeals to. You've got somebody like Doug Burgum, who is more of a traditional Republican, that would be appealing to the country club set and to the traditional conservative Chamber of Commerce Republicans. Who on this list do you think best has the chance of being a successful presidential nominee in 2028?
I think Marco Rubio. That'd be my choice, and I'll tell you why. Marco Rubio will open and make our tent bigger. He would be, the first Latino vice president. He speaks Spanish. He can again broaden that base, and we're seeing more and more Hispanics flipping to the GOP. Ronald Reagan said, some time ago, that Hispanics, Latinos are actually Republicans. They just don't know it yet. Well, they're starting to figure out they're Republicans. And so that would be my choice. And he's got all the experience in the Senate. He's been there for 14 years. So he has the experience. He knows how to navigate Washington. Very articulate, very charismatic. And I think that he would be the right choice. I'm not making the choices, but if I were President Trump, I'd be choosing Marco Rubio.
Look, I admire a member of the Republican caucus who will actually speak out on this and lay down a marker. So we appreciate you coming on. And the DDHQ poll, I thought, which we just had up, is pretty interesting. The American people agree with you. Who is best suited to help Trump win in November? Nikki Haley is slightly ahead, 16%. She's not been invited to the convention, we're told. So Marco Rubio at 12% is number two. Interestingly enough, there is this from Hugh Hewitt. If real Donald Trump selects a good old-fashioned conservative Republican who's eloquent and smart, he is going back to the Oval. But if he goes for a startling, unnerving surprise pick or a Veep who turns out to have flaws, he will take a formidable lead and squander it. Rule number one, do no harm. Right. Does J.D. Vance and the baggage he brings do harm if picked?
Look, I like J.D. Vance and all that, but I'm not sure what he adds to the ticket. And so, President Trump should have his base. The right base is secure. They're with, Donald Trump. And so I think what you need to do is expand the base and expand the tent for the GOP, for the Republican Party. And again, who is going to be, the best candidate in 4 years to be president of the United States.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.